This is a city that believes, and you will be able to see Step 1 in high definition on ESPN. Everyone who's a Pistons fan feels that this team has the best chance of going back to the finals since the days of the Bad Boys. The Big Ben has already been tolling, and on the other side, a disappointed Milwaukee Buck team that let a home court advantage get away from them last week. We take a look now at our Bud Light starting lineups for Game 1 of this matchup. There they are up front, and of course, Raft, as you and everybody else says, huge advantage here for Detroit.
Big, and that's why Skinner's so important. He's got to create some activity, keep Big Ben away from the rim, and knock some shots down. Very important.
In the backcourt, T.J. Ford will not play for the remainder of the season for Milwaukee. How does that affect the Bucks, Raph?
They don't have the foot speed to push the ball, which is something they're going to have to do, or the ability to break the defense down with the bounce, and that's essential against this tough Piston defense.
18 years ago, Terry Porter made his NBA playing debut. Today, his coaching debut, and you can just imagine how that stomach is churning over there. He needs a big start here, Raph.
He was very relaxed, I thought. He feels this team can put things away. You mentioned last week, disappointment not getting that fourth spot, but he's got young guys. He believes in them. I think it's very important how they start this game.
One of the old guard, Larry Brown. He's one of 4 head coaches over the age of 60 appearing in the playoffs this year. UB Brown in Memphis, Lenny Wilkins with the Knicks, Don Nelson down in Dallas are the others. So here is a coach with a ton of playoff experience.
Well, I hope when I get that age, I'll be able to do something, contribute a little bit. But LB has been around. He's very confident with this team. He likes his guys, feels they've grown defensively, and that strength right there is part of the reason they've grown on that defensive end.
I was with Coach Brown, Raft. I know you spent yesterday with him around the practice and that. A few minutes ago, I said on a scale of 1 to 10, rate how you think Rasheed Wallace will handle the offseason. Will he be back? He said a 10. So Larry Brown is very optimistic. Rasheed's going to re-up with the Pistons. That'll be a big story unfolding. And here is Skinner doing what you said he had to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Contribute on the glass. But what they did beautifully, the Bucks, is reverse the ball. They're going to have to go side to side. It necessitates getting the ball over the timeline quickly.
Rip Hamilton is wearing the face mask, still protecting that broken nose. Not as comfortable with it on. Rasheed turns inside.
How pretty that little kiss. He felt the weight, drop step, baseline. Terrific finish.
Out of the Raft is back. The little kiss.
A little kiss and a little mint here by the Pistons. Get it all in her.
Yeah, baby. Ben tried to stay with him, but he traveled. He forces a turnover.
You can see where they tried to lift him, but the one thing that you'll see a lot, I think, early, both Wallaces squared, getting the touchdown on the block. Very tough if you can't contain there. Let a guy make that drop step. Can't get the help quick enough.
Phillips waits for Rip to pop out. Inside, beautiful pass, and Rasheed finishes strong.
And that's lost in Hamilton's game. They hand hedge and try and help. Guys can slip to the goal. Great look.
Jones at the point instead of Ford. One-time Detroit Piston. Red off a curl with a tough shot, and Hamilton in his face.
Both of them go without the basketball beautifully, using their screens and bumps.
Smith with his hands full against Rasheed, screened by Rip Hamilton. Rasheed turns baseline, and this time advantage Smith on the block.
Much better job standing him up.
Skinner with a high screen. Almost stolen by Phillips. Contact, blocking foul, the call against Phillips.
The turnaround here, Smith with a good job defensively. You can just see the step in now, slipping to the goal. Countered out with a terrific block, staying at home.
Red on a pass that got away for a moment into Mason. He can slash. Smith backs it down, turn around for the paint. And there is Rasheed cleaning it up at the defensive end. Hamilton on the drive. Got it.
And Brent, that's where he's gotten a lot better since his college days. The ability to put it on the floor and blow by people.
At the other end, it's Rasheed with another defensive rebound. Prince. Pass was deflected out of bounds.
Nice recovery by Skinner, though. You're going to have to get back into the Bucks. They want an up-tempo game, though. The Pistons better make good judgments, because if it gets into a running game, it'll favor the Bucks.
18 on the shot. Phillips steps it out of bounds. Deep to Hamilton. Phillips drives. Rejected by Skinner. And Phillips goes down hard.
Chauncey can drill the jump shot, so they're going to hug him, force him to put it on the deck, and just good coordination inside defensively by Skinner.
Into Rasheed's hands. A firing miss three. Knocked out by Prince momentarily, but Smith picks it up for the Bucks.
Nice.
Deep, beautiful pass in underneath, and that's what the Bucks can do as Mason finishes.
And Jones really coordinates beautifully with Mason, who can get to the rim.
Hamilton, he's fouled. He'll shoot a pair.
Pretty good attention to detail defensively that time. Smith over gets the foul, but the ability to run the floor is extraordinary. And Mason's one of those guys. He's a slasher. He's a guy that can get to the rim. And Jones, just beautiful in tape. We've seen them do this frequently during the course of the year. And you must get back if you're the Pistons. They got to force a half-court offense by the Bucks. They can't give those open floor opportunities. When you're looking to manufacture inside offense, you know, Skinner is a guy that can do some damage, but not on a consistent basis. You're going to need Mason to get into the post area, either with a cut or the bounce, and be creative.
Well, Hamilton now has had a hand in all 8 of the Pistons' points. He's got a couple of assists, scored 5 of them himself, so he's off to a big start here in game 1.
And you notice Ben way out. They make you use the clock. It's down to 12 without anything. They can't give Jones these open looks.
He'll drain it, and he holds up the 3 fingers, and the Pistons bench takes note of that.
I can count. And leave them wide open. That's not good Piston defense.
Deschamps been quiet with Mason on him. Gives it up again. Rasheed on the drive. Tap back left hand. Back with 2 hands. Back again. Still can't get it to fall, but here's Prince wide open.
All effort. Rasheed attacking the 10. A great stroke by Prince at the end of it, but it's all out effort on the glass.
I think you're seeing here early the difference that Rasheed Wallace has made with the Pistons since coming to them from the Atlanta Hawks. Remember, Portland sent him first to Atlanta, where he played for a game, and then moved on here to Detroit. Jump hook Skinner. Not to be. Not getting many second opportunities against this size.
The one and done. They got to make it good.
Hamilton's open.
He uses the bump and then flares to the wing. And Phillips on the money with the delivery. Tough to defend. He's always active with the puppies.
Smith drops it inside. Rejected Rasheed. Forced the turnover.
Great cover.
Phillips is hooked. So Damon Jones picks up his first, team's second. Dan Crawford, the lead official, makes the call. He's a good one, working here today with Sean Corbin and Ken Maurer. So we're going to have a timeout. 7:02, first quarter, opening game between Milwaukee and Detroit. Detroit beat them 3 out of 4 times in the regular season. The first time the Bucks are looking at Rasheed as a Piston.
Bud Light.
Back in Auburn Hills, a crowd in excess of 22,000 on hand watching the Pistons here. I'm Brent Musburger with Bill Raftery.
Richard Hamilton with a great start. He's so active without the basketball. It presents a myriad of problems defensively as you step out try and hand hedge. He really understands when to give it up, stays his distance so the help guy can't come down and rake. Little kiss delivery, and here the slide to the goal of all the activity out on Richard Hamilton. This is the bounce, the little blow by, getting himself to the rim, and he sets his guy up beautifully. Then the fade to the sideline and a little nylon, Brent. He is just a tough guy to stay with and under control.
First sub of the game for Larry Brown is a big fella. Eldon Campbell, number 41, moves onto the floor. He is a 7-footer, been around 13 seasons out of Clemson, and he'll rest Rasheed. And of course, that's part of Larry Brown's rotation. Then he can rest Ben, and he can put Rasheed back on the floor. So it's a luxury having talent like that size.
And here's a zone. First time we've seen it. I think you'll see a little more of it just to stymie the good offensive runs of the Pistons.
Held them that time, Raft, and down they come now, looking for some firepower. Here's Jones. Hamilton trying to track Red. Now Prince has switched on to him on the drive, and it's a beauty that time. And you said that Skinner had to have a big day.
Well, his ability to put it on the floor, he comes 10 feet away. They call him Easy Campbell. He let his guy go by easy, or easily.
Then hands it off to Tayshaun. Prince backs down, spins baseline, left hand, no. Wallace on the other side, but there was a whistle before the putback.
And maybe Mason, and that's the ability to manufacture that little post area. Prince, the long arms, the ability to stretch the D with the jumper, and also he's got terrific post-up moves for this team.
Draft a year ago, Tayshaun Prince was basically discovered in the playoffs. He had not played much during the regular season for Rick Carlisle. Remember, Carlisle was the coach of the Pistons a year ago. Now he's down with the Indiana Pacers, and Larry Brown moving Prince into the starting lineup this season.
Well, he really showed his game in Philly with Larry. What do you think of it? He is an outstanding three-man because of his ability deep. He doesn't look physically imposing, but he can stretch and get big rebounds, and also defensively deny beautifully.
Mason, great move. Short on the shot, and Eldon Campbell with the defensive board. Good tempo here early in this game. A couple of Eastern Conference opponents. A lot of optimism out in Las Vegas regarding the Pistons. A lot of people really like this team, and you can see why.
And Ben with a good use of the bounce. Well, you're not going to guard him 10, 15 feet from the hole, but he really did a terrific job getting into the lane.
This Piston defense, of course, set a record for holding teams under 70 points. Now, Milwaukee did average 93 points a game. But remember, all four were played before the arrival of Rasheed Wallace. But now we see Skinner finishing up again, and Larry Brown has to be concerned about Eldon Campbell's lack of defense.
Well, they really did do a good job handling the pick and roll. A little slide to the tin that time. You may see a double of the ball in a rotation the next couple of trips.
Here's Ben. Now the Bucks will be trying to regain the lead on the drive, and Tayshaun blocked it.
And what a great job that time defensively, but Mason ran the wing and came through and able to pass to be received. They're just too small to finish.
Campbell bumps Skinner down, turns baseline, off the glass, in and out.
Pretty good look by the big guy.
Jones will come firing off the transition. Not sure that Porter and the Bucks wanted that shot right there. And a foul is called against Milwaukee as Billups goes down again hard. And a reminder, of course, this afternoon, the best in the game, and they'll take it to a whole new level. Folks, if you like scoring, make sure to be at ABC when the Mavericks and the Kings tip it off. These two teams could put well over 200 points up. No one has broken the 200 mark of any of the games played so far. This figures to be the highest scoring first-round matchup. Doesn't say much for the defense, but they can score, folks.
They can get up and down. Good pass. Great passing team, too, Brown.
Oh, they're fun to watch, both those teams.
Really make you work on the offensive end.
Rick Adelman and the Kings have to be terribly disappointed about how they let a possible top seed get away from them after their big win in Los Angeles over the Lakers. And then they lose the next 2 games to close out. And so there are a lot of questions about the teams out west. I think for the first time, there's genuine optimism regarding the Eastern Conference for the first time since, well, Michael Jordan left the Chicago Bulls. There are a lot of experts who believe not only this team, but of course the Indiana Pacers, winners of 61, that they are possible champions this year. So we'll have to see how it unfolds.
Now, Larry, the defense that they are playing is championship caliber. No question about it. The last couple of weeks since Rasheed came here.
Just watching him, and when he concentrates on the game, forgets about the officials, does his work, he is an elite performer. You can see that.
Very talkative on the defensive end as well. Really knows the game.
Great move by Red. Spin and hit it.
Watch your back.
Hamilton forced back out to the perimeter.
A nice job by Skinner leaving Campbell out there.
Knocked away, and Hamilton fouled again.
That's his second. Brevin Knight, he just came into the game. Both point guards now. Mike Schuler up talking to the assistant coach, to Terry Porter, just letting him know both, and that puts them in a little bit of a hole.
Well, Hamilton and Billups, in the 3 victories during the regular season, the two combined for a ton of points against Milwaukee. And Hamilton is starting out very strong here in this game. That's a huge difference there. Right?
I'm sorry, but I'm talking about Billups with Larry yesterday, saying the first 30 games, he wasn't sure what Larry wanted. And Larry doesn't want to change his game. He wants to be out. Here's that trap. They're so big, and Rasheed does reach in, and he does acknowledge the official. Maybe your comments are well received, huh? And you just can't see over him. He's just a little anxious here, reaching in. And Brevin Knight doing what you're supposed to, protect the basketball, step away, and then maybe power through to a post-up guy.
Larry was doing some coaching to Phillips. They were communicating while the game was unfolding that time. Larry telling him what he wanted done down here at this end as he brings it up. When you are a point guard for Larry Brown, it is a work in progress always. A very demanding coach when it comes to the point guard position. And here's Hamilton from the baseline.
Well, there's a fine line of when to take your guy and get others involved. And Larry's background was to think of the other 4 as a player. And he has thought that way as a coach. It's tough with the prototype guards now to do both.
Beautiful spin move again. And you can see that once they get down in low, if they can just finish, they're a very effective scoring team, and Desmond Mason has always been capable of slashing.
And they give him a lot of ISOs, too, opportunities to beat their guy.
Campbell backing Skinner down, jump hook, cleaned off by the Bucks. Red loses it.
Nice play by Billups.
Lob plants, and they'll bring 22,000 to their feet.
The Wildcat looming. The long arm of royalty. Prince.
I like that. The long arm of royalty. I like that a lot. Save that. We'll use that later to play it. Foul's called. No, we've got a timeout. And it all began with this steal. And it leads to excitement at the other end. What a play by Billups. Off they come, and Hamilton's beautiful pass up high. Take it to the rim. It's playoff time in the NBA.
On April. Welcome back to the 2004 NBA playoffs on ESPN.
Rip Hamilton with a hand in 17 of Detroit's 21 points, 11 points himself, and 3 assists. Take you back in time. Keith Van Horn is checking in for Milwaukee. to see his first action. Let's go back to the Van Horn draft, or I think we should properly say the Tim Duncan draft, in which the Boston Celtics and Rick Pitino did not win the lottery. Duncan went to San Antonio, 2 titles later. Now there's Van Horn was next, and then Chauncey Billups went to Boston Red.
And of course Chauncey up in Boston didn't play quite as well, wasn't as prepared I think as he is right now. And I guess Van Horn then went to Jersey for Tim Thomas. I believe that was that trade. Then Antonio Daniels, and was it Mercer next?
Yes, it was.
Yeah. So Chauncey developing, surfacing, and I think the connect here between Larry Brown has really helped his insight to the game. Maybe just backing off the offense a little, getting touches for others. And when you got a guy like Hamilton as your partner in the backcourt, you know he's going to get free, and therefore get you opportunities as well.
Milwaukee is shooting 50% from the field. They're 8 of 16. They're doing very well. Where they're falling down is in the rebounding department. Now, they scooped up a loose ball, could not convert, and there is a whistle. But when you take a look at the rebounding, even though it is even at 9 apiece, Rasheed Wallace has 2 offensive rebounds. Tayshaun Prince with 1 at the other end. So the battle for Milwaukee here in this series is clearly going to be down in the low blocks. They must rebound with this team.
Now, did you notice who blocked that shot? Wallace initially got back tonight, who gets to the free throw line. And, you know, Brevin's dad coached with me at Seton Hall, was a great player. A McDonald's All-American, his dad. Of course, Brevin, so happy. He's really enjoying playing for Milwaukee, feels comfortable. Great asset for Terry to have. He can push the ball. Ford not healthy at this point in his career. Hopefully that'll straighten itself out in the offseason. So great contribution by Brevin.
Brevin, of course, coming out of Stanford draft back in '97, 6-year veteran of the NBA awards. Ben Wallace screen high. Here comes Hamilton again. And a putback by Rasheed.
Well, that's what the dribble drive does. All the attention. The heads turn, and the big fella sending it in strong. You got to get a body somehow on him.
Pick and roll with Van Horn back to Brevin. Night and night of firing a 2.
Well, that really helps the offense, too. Now, because he can drive, set his guy up. Pick and pop for Van Horn's one of their pet plays. He can really stretch the D with his range.
Coming down to the last minute of the opening quarter, and it has been a good competitive quarter, but so was Boston, Indiana yesterday. And then in the second quarter, the home team lit them up. And, of course, Milwaukee has to be aware of shots like that by Billups, what they can do in a hurry here.
A big thing Billups knew he could plumb bob over Brevin there. Got the inches to elevate.
Rasheed backing away from Smith, who gives it up. Skinner missing on the shot. Rasheed with a hand, but there is a very active Skinner. Missed, and this time Ben Wallace cleans it out. Here comes Hamilton on the roll. Loose ball, lost control of the dribble down low. Ball is kicked. It goes to Milwaukee.
Nice job by Knight, though, getting his hands in there to dislodge it from Hamilton.
Well, log on to NBA.com and play Virtual GM Postseason Edition. Pick your fantasy dream team. Try to beat Bill Walton's score to be eligible for great prizes. Virtual GM Postseason Edition only on NBA.com.
Well, it should be flawless if Bill's involved.
I'll guarantee you he will not be picking Rasheed Wallace.
And nobody will play horrible for his team, I assure you, or terrible. Well, the speed team is in for the Pistons right now.
That was their first turnover after this game. Here as we come down with the final few seconds of the opening quarter. Brevin Knight off the dribble, coasts in, and then missed the shot. Last shot time. James waits for Wallace. He's got great range, dumps it in low to Ben. Over Van Horn. Told Big Ben.
You know who enjoyed that more than Ben Wallace? Rasheed Wallace. Great presentation in the lane, begging for the ball. The big fella at the top dumps it down.
Who is this Rasheed Wallace? Will the real Rasheed Wallace please stand up? It's like a brand new player. Detroit.
Now.
It's a great time to be a Detroit sports fan. The Red Wings are rolling. The Tigers are off to a much better start than a year ago. And the Pistons are thinking championship. Meanwhile, from Milwaukee, they're without their fine young point guard, TJ Ford. He missed the last 23 games. Went on the injured list with that bruised spinal cord, which was sustained late in that game against Minnesota back in, I think it was the last week of February. And he's here in civilian clothes watching his team. And, of course, that certainly hurts Milwaukee and Terry Porter's backcourt. Don't have to tell anybody that who's followed the NBA. Williamson, Hunter, the Wallaces ×2, and James on the floor for the Pistons right now. And the 3-ball nailed by Hunter.
I tell you, against the zone, you're going to get some open looks. Lindsey and James, two guys I meant to mention the speed team earlier, but they really rag a guy. I was surprised Knight went right by James earlier. He will hear about that from LB.
Detroit's red hot. Milwaukee, meanwhile, only one of their last 5. Make it 6. Red gets it back and make it 2 of their last 7. Detroit, meanwhile, has hit 6 of the last 8.
And Brent, that weapon with the bounce is so essential to break this defense down. I'm surprised they've been able to get by the Pistons easily on a number of occasions.
The lead is at 7. And that's the biggest Detroit lead. Well, I checked that. They've had it at 9 until that field goal at the other end. And that's offensive foul. And that's the second one, I believe, on Rashid. And I don't think he's as fond of that call as he was the first one.
And yet, he just a little word and obviously a good self-control there. Using the right sentences, at least. But the composure's so much different.
The vocabulary much better.
Leave a few out. Don't hyphenate anything. There's that ability to dribble.
And then a bad pass. Ben lead pass for Hunter. Hunter spins inside. Gives it to the trailing Williamson. And Corliss rams it.
Well, when the big guys run the floor, they should be rewarded. Kukoc ran right out from under the plate with the dribble drive.
Red gets in. Back to Kukoc. Van Horn from the perimeter misfiring. Rashid rebounds again. Raf, this is a very good-looking Detroit team. And I think you made a key point during the commercial. You said this is a very deep team.
Well, they go way deep size-wise, backcourt-wise. The same principles prevail for everybody. They don't have to change anything. But the defensive end of things generally is their strength. And a guy that gets his hands on a lot of balls, it goes unnoticed. You think of block shots and rebounds. Ben Wallace sets this up and... And Arkansas, the big nasty, taking it to the 10.
Danny G gets a reach, playing on the low block. Van Horn gives it to him off the penetration and 1. So Danny G, who played collegiately at UCLA, steps up to the free throw line.
Terry Porter told both of us the dribble's very important. Reversing the basketball is very important. All the wing performers have gotten into the lane. You saw Kukoc give a great 3-point shot to Keith Van Horn, who didn't convert that time. Van Horn gets deep, and then the dish.
Big Ben. Van Horn fronting Williamson, loose ball, picked up by Knight. As Red, spot 3. James cruises, Knight wraps him up.
Okay, great hustle to get back by Knight. Once again, Wallace, the catalyst on that defensive end. Spectacular.
That's the 3rd foul on Brevin Knight. Jones with a pair already in that backcourt. And a reminder that tonight, of course, the NBA playoffs continue. One of the surprising and one of the truly good stories this year with the NBA, the Miami Heat will be hosting the Hornets, winding up with the home court advantage as Milwaukee lets it get away in a loss to Toronto. And then it's Denver against Minnesota, Carmelo Anthony, and the Nuggets as Denver returns to the playoffs, and Minnesota, another of those teams. And there's the steal, and James.
Well, that's what they do best. And now you see Wallace's presence He shadows the basketball. Here's another turnover. They are aggressive. And look at the bench. I mean, that's incredible. The enthusiasm for the defensive end of things. Dave bought in. Valuing the ball becomes so essential. He got Jones just in the game now, tries to spin dribble. They've got to blow by, get an angle, and bring it up quickly. Now jumping in the turnover. Not good basketball right now by the Bucks.
Getting away from the Bucks here in that second quarter. Slam it down on the Corliss Williamson pass to Big Ben. Kukoc nails the three.
And Terry Porter wanted a timeout. They did not see him. He wanted to stop the bleeding. And what better way than knocking down a deep jack?
Williamson spins left baseline. Okur fouled by Gadzarich.
Yeah, it's interesting. Gadzarich went over to help out. He shouldn't have been there. He should have stayed at the rim. The defense was in position. Opens up an offensive rebound.
Power basketball. Watch the bench. This team is developing the look.
By Adidas Basketball. Impossible is nothing. And Nissan, who invites you to ship the way you move through the world.
Well, the Detroit Pistons have scored 10 points this quarter, 6 of them off Milwaukee turnovers. So the Bucks get sloppy with the ball, and the Pistons attack relentlessly. There's the forced turnovers and the points off of them. And Raph, let's take a look at our Sprite. Mad skills.
And who better than Rashid doing damage in all and screening, presenting himself properly, and then sliding to the tin. Hamilton with the acknowledgement here. Pin down, slide to the goal. Great offensive rebounding position. Gets the open look for his partner. Just getting to the right spot frequently and leading it all. I mean, this is just a terrific story. He's enjoying playing with this group and exhibiting his tremendous skills as well.
Why Larry Brown is so optimistic about re-signing him for what he hopes will be many years to come here in Detroit. Okur on the free throw line. As a result, this fella on the free throw line could become available to somebody as they continue to develop. Milicic, the rookie, they may have to lose Okur if they re-sign Rashid. We'll wait to see how that all unfolds, of course.
And he is a talented performer too, Okur. And you mentioned Milicic. Larry Brown every day works diligently with him. It's not that he's just on the pines there during the game. They do drill him extensively every day. Now, turnover here again. And look at the numbers.
Corliss to finish. This one is getting away from Milwaukee.
And it's the pressure, the different points on the floor they can extend and force you into mistakes.
Red takes it in low, but again, Detroit gets back defensively. Nailed the jump shot is Damon Jones.
Did you see the closeout by Mike James? The foot speed and under control. You don't get an open look.
Hunter. Van Horn cleans it. And just when I thought it might be getting away from the Bucks, they put on a little spurt here, Raph. Another field goal would give them a little confidence boost as we come down to 7 minutes.
And this is, he's got to take advantage of what I think, use the dribble or space out and get an open jumper.
Kukoc battles in. He's fouled. He'll shoot 2 free throws.
He really slices, doesn't he? Nicely gets between defenders. Now Wallace has to recognize, can't totally double. He just sort of swipes from the top because that's Van Horn's ability to shoot that open jump shot. So they may have found something now as you try and creep back into this game.
Inside of 10. Prince and Billups up for the Pistons. They'll check in at the next opportunity. Nice play deep to Williamson. Gadzarich came in too far that time, and it was easy.
And Brent, what they did, Williamson walked his guy up. They fronted. He held. He's got such great strength and directed the pass to the 10.
There's the points in the paint. Huge difference in this matchup. Isn't likely to change. There, though, is Gadzarich drawing daylight as he came down for the right baseline, and Okur was not very active underneath that time. Kukoc against Okur. Got him in the air, slipped inside, and made it.
Boy, he plays old, doesn't he? The elder statesman. It's not a quick move, but it is extremely effective. Nice step through and a kiss.
Foul.
You know, Kukoc actually ended up discarding, but got the benefit. He complained better.
So Hamilton, Prince, Billups, replace Hunter, Williamson, and James, who turned in some fine minutes for the Pistons off that bench over there.
But 11 guys, 11 deep, and effectively 11 deep.
And that bench has scored 13 points in this game. Now Hamilton's in the middle. Kick Billups.
Now that's a good job for a floor leader right there. Billups didn't rush anything.
Hamilton. The finish by Okur.
Hamilton presents a dilemma. You run out, he gets angles on the bounce. He's unselfish.
5 assists for him already in this game. We've got a timeout. The lead is 13.
What's cold? Cool as life, fast breaks and steals.
Frazier in the studio as we take a peek at the rest of the day. As soon as we're done with the Bucks and Pistons, flip over to ABC and check out GMC Hang Time. Then at 3:30 Eastern, it's the Mavericks and Kings on ABC. Alan Doc will call that game and close it out in the evening on TNT with a doubleheader.
All right, Kevin, and here Detroit leading Milwaukee 46-33, and Hamilton with 11 points and 4 assists. The Wallaces note the 12 rebounds. That's a combined only 1 less than the entire Milwaukee team right now.
Wow. I mean, he's just been such an influence along with his partner here. Wallace squared. Be a heck of a law firm, wouldn't it? Size and strength. Now, finding a way offensively, I don't think is the Bucks' dilemma. I think it's the defensive end and valuing the ball.
There's the owner, Bill Davidson. He has a nice, wonderful location at midcourt where all his friends sit, but he has always enjoyed that seat right underneath the basket down there.
I saw him. He was playing tennis yesterday, believe it or not.
Prince cleans up the missed 3 ball. Here they come again. Detroit started 5 of 15 rather sluggishly from the floor. Since then, they're 13 of 17 and make it 13 of 18.
So they run some nice stuff. That was a double, and Okur just popped back.
Give it in underneath, and Mason is fouled.
And I don't believe that. Ben Wallace changed the shot. Larry Brown up. I think that's one of those anticipations. You can't believe a guy can be that mobile and agile, but this is a hurry. He doesn't get credit for this as a block, but that changes everything. Whew. He had inches to spare and led to some despair. Pretty good control, and then the throwaway.
Ben Wallace, always a finalist for the Defensive Player of the Year, but here in Detroit, they think that award is going to go to Ron Artest of Indiana next week.
He's had it 2 years in a row, right, Brent?
Yeah, exactly. Kerr staying on the floor with Rasheed resting. Mason goes down. Hamilton spins into open space. Van Horn, long reach. Headman is Jones. Strickland is seeing some playing time. Eric Strickland on the floor for the Bucks.
Hamilton with a poke away. Got to value the ball.
Phillips off the transition, front of the rim, and there is Strickland. Gives him a little size at that guard spot. See what kind of minutes he can give Terry Porter. Got inside, wrapped around left hand. Good play, Strickland.
He's got some toughness. He can stick it from outside, put it on the floor, and also can guard. He's on Hamilton right now.
Sturdy-looking fellow, built like it's good safety.
Like we wish we were. And here's the little nickel dimer by Jones on an ISO. They cleared out the backside and reached in.
That is the third on Damon Jones. And this, of course, the playoffs always start this way. At game one, oh, man, how you been, man? You know, it's good to see. How's the family? Folks, we get to 5 and 6, they don't speak to each other. They don't want to hear from nothing.
I just can't picture Rick Mahorn hugging anybody before the game. Huh? Whacking him, maybe, or Lambeer.
Oh, Rick. Rip Hamilton up firing. Smooth.
He's really let the game come to him. He doesn't force things. It's just a solid approach. And Reggie Miller, like, getting free off of bumps.
13 for Rip here today. Van Horn gives it up. Mason slashes. Strickland will fire a left-handed three ball, and that was Hamilton's defense on top of it.
You are absolutely correct. They don't leave you alone. No one contested.
Knocked away by Van Horn. Is he fast enough? Here comes Hamilton.
How about that foot speed? Or lack of.
Yes. Depends which player you want to talk about. Underneath. Good Milwaukee defense. Finn stays with it. Phillips, as the shot clock was expiring, that's why he fired the three ball. And it goes to Milwaukee sideline.
You know, you always talk about things being contagious. I just think Rasheed Wallace, his effort, matching Ben's energy, makes them really involved totally as a team. I mean, they just get after all the loose things. They're very aggressive on both ends of the floor. No easy looks.
The lead's 11. Milwaukee loves to go into the intermission. Get it down inside 10, and then comes over on Van Horn. Jump hook from Prince. Van Horn active underneath at that defensive end. Outlet to Kukoc.
They had a mismatch. Now they get really nice cut by Knight and just can't control it. Now Kukoc very effective finding cutters.
Well, we've got a timeout with the Pistons up by 11 in game one of their Eastern Conference quarterfinal. Big Ben with another block. The Pistons are in control.
All right.
Welcome back to the 2004 NBA playoffs on ESPN.
Coming up in moments on the Toyota Halftime Show, Al Michaels and Doc Rivers will join us from Sacramento with a preview of Game 1 of the Mavs-Kings. Should be a good old-fashioned shootout. Meanwhile, guys, what are your thoughts about the first half of this game so far?
The only thing that came to my mind is T.J. Ford. I think that has been the difference because he is the guy that they would normally have to deal with the pressure. 9 turnovers in the first half really been the detriment or downfall to Milwaukee.
Well, the one thing that comes to my mind is the Pistons' points in the paint. They're dominating inside. I mean, maybe Brent can tell me why Corliss Williamson looks like he's still playing at the University of Arkansas.
Well, Corliss would be his sister, but Corliss is playing. But let's ask Brent.
What up, Brent? You know what,
Brent? Stephen A., it's a fountain of youth. It's amazing what they can find here in the suburb of Detroit, my friend. But there is Corliss, number 34, and he has played 10 minutes. He's 3 of 4. Has a rebound and an assist. Hasn't turned it over, so solid performer off of Larry Brown's bench.
Running the floor, has gotten a couple of those baskets. Really solid effort. A little full court pressure now, trying to shake it up by the Bucks.
Prince, Hamilton, Phillips, Corliss, and Big Ben on the floor as we come down, and the fellows will be along in just a little bit over a couple of minutes here. I'll get you set for what should be the highest scoring first-round game of the weekend. Corliss at the buzzer, yanked away by Milwaukee. You know, Raph, you made an interesting point during the timeout. You said that somehow Milwaukee's hanging in here.
Yeah, they are. And the big thing, I think, defensively, they got to be more solid, but valuing the ball. They just can't cough it up. They only have 13 turnovers average all year. They had 9, as we heard in the studio a moment ago.
Milwaukee coming in today, a double-digit underdog.
Williams is terrific, holding his guy. Look at this strength. He just manhandled Kukoc.
Corliss missing again, but Prince digs it out. And at the 125, in and out, knocked away from Wallace, but again, the Pistons come away with it underneath, and there is the Razorback.
And Williams, just beautiful job. Corliss handling his guy, getting inside position, and then sprinting to the ball.
Coach has to give it up. A tough D. Van Horn's 3 on the money.
And they're doing a nice job making Ben Wallace come all the way out. And Van Horn's good at putting it on the floor against a guy that size as well.
And Phillips is fouled. And is that number 4 on Brevin? I believe. Let me just check that stat. Yes, it is. That's the 4th personal foul. Remember, he picked up 2 quick ones in a hurry. And I remember the 3rd. And there's the 4th foul on Brevin.
The temptation to reach in. He did get a little small change in there. I think he's more upset at himself knowing he had the 3.
Final 45 seconds.
And this should be a little matchup right here.
Goes back to Detroit with 3 on that shot clock, though.
Plenty of time to get a good screen and put it on the floor and still get a good look. They better stay at home with Hamilton out here.
The Pistons have missed 9 of their last 11 shots. And a rejection. It's 9 of their last 12. The shot clock went off, but was the ball out of bounds? I believe Crawford will confer here with Sean. And it's going over. It's going over with 31 seconds left. Milwaukee back to within 8, making a stand here in this game. At one point, I can remember they were down 13 points here in the first half. And the Pistons have been dominant on the inside, but somehow this Milwaukee team is just finding a way to lurk in the neighborhood. They're on a 9-4 run right now.
Right, you think maybe a little bit of a hangover from last week, too? Not as sure of themselves as they have been playing all year, but a good bounce back, I think, just to be hanging going into halftime where you can make some adjustments. I think because of the shot clock, they're adjusting the time.
Yeah, they'll straighten out the clock and get the timing. Let's go back on Raph's point, because I think it's really good. As we talk coming over the park today, the hangover effect, how would it affect Milwaukee? Had they won any of their last 3 games, they would have been a 4 seed and had a home court advantage. Let them get away And, of course, blew a big one to Toronto in their last game of the regular season. But here they seem to have shaken it off. And there was a foul against Detroit. Down on the inside, Kukoc was trying to spring free. And, hey, wait, the big foul. How come he's not back there with Kevin and Stephen A. and
well, he had his
Greg?
draft. Didn't he have his draft, too?
Is that what it was?
The NBA?
Bill Laimbeer. You know, Laimbeer, Stephen, you jumped all over Bill yesterday when he picked Houston. I bet you were holding your breath coming down the stretch of that with my friend. He was almost right on the money. And, of course, I think Houston indicating that they might be able to win. They might make a stand against the Lakers in that series, Bill. And there's Laimbeer, you know, that's my kind of an analyst. I mean, now that for a play-by-play, that's perfect.
He may be just listening to us.
I mean, that's the anti-Vital.
No question. Of course, you mentioned hangover effect, and some pretty good authorities in the building with that as well.
Yes, I don't know who you might be referring to. Oh, Phillips goes down hard again, and Strickland says he's flopping. Strickland right now looked over at Danny Crawford and said he's flopping, man.
He's strong, though, defensively. Really standing him up here, reaches in, and
he's flopping, man. I'm telling you right now, Strickland's on the money. He's on the money.
Look at the smile by Phillips at the end of this. Usually it's in the low post area, and it might be Vlade.
Oh, you think?
On occasion.
We'll see. You'll see Vlade, of course, coming up in the second game with Sacramento against Dallas when you switch over to ABC.
No hands, Eric. Hey, don't watch that arm, John.
Well, you heard Danny Crawford.
20.
Say no hands, and you may be right. He's flopping.
Speaking of flopping, as you look across at Laimbeer, you couldn't help but remember some of his famous flops with the Bad Boys. There he is, huh? A lot to say over there, man. If he only knew. He'd be over here setting a pick, he and Mahorn, man. They'd be jumping to it.
They'd be big in Boston right now, don't you think, those two? Johnny Most used to have a field day with him.
I was talking to Mahorn about Johnny Most. Some of my favorite moments in the old Boston Garden in the press room when Most had turned it loose on Rick Mahorn.
Fishes.
Off air, folks, he was worse than on air. Oh, he was unbelievable.
Well, Rick was telling us about his brother Owen being up in Boston, and he turned around, and his brother was working on the whole first row.
The whole first row of the Garden. He was fighting in there. Oh, the Bad Boys. They were something. Of course, Chuck Daly, you spoke with the coach on the telephone down in Jupiter, Florida. You think he's playing any golf, or you think he's watching?
Well, he'll watch this. He'll play early or play late. And, of course, you know, Rod Thorne dressed well because he was in the league office for all the fines with Mahorn and Laimbeer.
That's right.
He had the three-piece suits going.
Here's 8.6 seconds remaining in the opening half. 52-43, Detroit over Milwaukee. The opener, best of 7. Remember, the NBA has switched the opening series. Now best of 7. Van Horn fires 3. No. Tap back, no. And there's Prince at the buzzer. It's a 9-point Detroit advantage here in the first half. Rasheed Wallace got some good rests. Remember, he came in perhaps a little less than 100%. Larry Brown and the Pistons dictating. Wallace times 2. But the shooters can keep you in a lot of games in the NBA.
Welcome to the Toyota Halftime Show.
You know, you talk to the guys who have played with Rasheed Wallace, guys like Greg Anthony. They say he's a consummate teammate. 6.7 rebounds, does his job, and that's why Detroit's leading 52-43. Welcome inside of our Studio A and the Toyota Halftime Show. We take a peek at the McDonald's NBA bracket and take a look at the East tonight. The Heat and Hornets hook up later tonight on TNT. Should be a good one, the 4-5 matchup in the East. Meanwhile, we peek out west in the game that I think we're all looking forward to. Coming up on ABC, Kings and Mavericks at 3:30 Eastern. And as we look forward to that game, Greg, your expectations, because you think this could be, in a sense, an upset.
I don't think it's an upset, but I think there's no doubt that this basketball team, the Dallas Mavericks, can win this series because, again, offensively, they're on par with Sacramento. The advantage I see is that, one, they're a much better rebounding team, and two, their confidence a lot higher than Sacramento's right now.
Well, you know what? I just don't have any faith in Dallas. I mean, you're absolutely right with your assessment, but I just have absolutely no faith in them whatsoever,
So
simply because they don't play defense. Sacramento plays a little bit of defense. Dallas plays none. That's the problem.
No matter what, a lot of points will be put up on the board. It'll be fun basketball, old school 80s basketball. And for a preview of it, let's send it over to the ABC #1 team, Al Michaels and Doc Rivers.
Thank you, Kevin. Two teams that can light up the scoreboard. The Mavericks arriving within the hour at Arco Arena in Sacramento. Dirk Nowitzki, Steve Nash and company coming in for this first of the best of 7 in the Western Conference. And one of the interesting things to look at in this game is the fact that the Mavericks have gone to what they call small ball with a recent insertion into the starting lineup of the rookie Marquise Daniels. And to that effect, both coaches, Don Nelson of Dallas and Rick Adelman of Sacramento, talked about that particular matchup.
To make this thing work, can we guard their big guys inside? They have a huge front line of talented big guys, and are we going to be able to contain them enough without double teaming and getting all strung out? There's a lot of ifs.
If our big guys do not run the floor, if our big guys do not hurt them around the basket, if they don't take advantage of the skills there, then advantage goes to Nowitzki and Walker.
How important, Doc Rivers, do you think that particular situation is going to be in the series?
Oh, I think it's huge. I find it amazing that both coaches are talking ifs, you know, and they both surround their bigs. You know, when you think about the Kings, the first thing they have to know if their bigs can run the floor, if they can get back on defense. And the second thing is they have to dominate down low with their size. If they don't, they're in a lot of trouble. And on the other end, you think small ball, can they guard tall ball? And if they can, and don't have to double team, they can take away the Kings' threes, and then the Dallas Mavericks are in great shape.
All offense all the time. This is going to be a good series. I think of the 8 series in the first round of the NBA playoffs, this one has the best chance to go to a 7th game. Back to you, Kevin.
All right, plenty still ahead, and we're looking forward to that game. Thank you, gentlemen. But somebody could be in trouble if they lose this series. One of those.
You had Warner-gate, you had Kobe-gate. This is Coach-gate. Loser of this series may not be in the coaching ranks next season.
This halftime show is presented by the all-new Toyota Tundra Double Cab. Not just big, life-sized. Back to the Toyota halftime show.
The Pistons' defense is what they live and die by. Keith Van Horn, a victim of Ben Wallace's weak side help there. 52-43, the score. You know, we are now on day 2 of the playoffs, but day 1, an all-day marathon on ESPN as we kicked off the NBA playoffs. And let's recap what went on in day 1. And it started with the best team in the East, the #1 seed, the Indiana Pacers, taking on Boston. No contest, Greg.
No, this is really the definition of men playing against boys, because Indiana just manhandled the Celtics every which way, dominated the paint, and dominated game 1.
Oh, there's no question about it. It's exactly what I expected. I told you it was going to be a blowout, and it was a blowout.
You're right.
Speaking of blowouts, the second game of our quadruple header, the Nets and Knicks, same flavor, Stephen A.
Absolutely same flavor, and it did taste very good in my mouth. I'm very, very disgusted by what I saw from the New York Knicks. You better get it together, boys.
Same thing I told you, Stephen A. A blowout.
That is true.
Nets win the game 107-83 to take a 1-0 lead. Game 3, Hubie and crew taking on the Spurs, and defending champs look crispy.
You know, how else do you start the defense of your title than by going out and manhandling the Memphis Grizzlies, who I don't think were mentally ready for what the playoffs brought?
I believe Hubie will have them ready for game 2, though.
98-74, the final score as the Spurs win, and then in the finale.
In the Super Bowl, I mean, it seemed like a Super Bowl.
Well, they almost scored as much as they scored in a Super Bowl. I mean, it was ugly basketball, but in the end, exciting as Shaq put it away over Yao Ming, and the Lakers hold on to sneak away with a victory.
Appropriately, it took place in Hollywood because it looked like a horror film.
It was horrific. As a matter of fact, his lowest field goal percentage in a playoff win since 1969. Lakers 32.9%. Grizzlies only put up 74 points. That's the fewest points by a team in their first playoff game. And how about the Nets? They set a franchise record for margin of victory by just beating up on the Knicks. Now, there was a casualty of day one. Bill Laimbeer struggling this afternoon in Detroit. You know, when Bill left the set about 1:30 a.m. and 2 a.m. and he said he had a cab at 4:30 so he could catch his 6 a.m. flight, we knew he was going to be in trouble.
Well, you know, for me personally, having not been in the business that long, I have to say one of the highlights of it is having spent 17 consecutive hours with Bill Laimbeer and his wonderful personality.
I'm telling you, I got the same feeling, but I'll tell you this much. He looks about as bad as the Lakers and the Rockets looked yesterday. But Brent Musburger, I'm still not worried. My Lakers are still going to handle their business.
Did he just say my Lakers?
I still expect to be in Southern California.
His Lakers now. You know what? Let's just end right there. Let's just go back. Let's go back. My Lakers. My Lakers.
Where is the integrity?
This halftime show is presented by the all-new Toyota Tundra Double Cab. Not just big, life-sized.
My cousin told me about a Class 5.
At the intermission, Detroit up by 9 over Milwaukee in game 1 of this Eastern Conference NBA playoff game. It's 52-43, Raft, and defense, defense, defense.
It's been all of that, and the coordination has been incredible. The hands, Wallace being in the right spot, creating turnovers, havoc, and right here, this is a read on their own. This is what Larry entrusts them. If you see a situation where a guy's going blind to the floor, you trap. Williamson does, leads to a breakout. Just sensational in the lane, creating situations for easy baskets at the other end. And how about the big nasty taking it to the tin with alacrity?
Chauncey Billups. Now, folks, let's take you back to that wonderful moment with referee Dan Crawford. Let's listen to a little bit more of the conversation. This is good officiating.
No hands, Eric. Hey. Don't watch that arm, Chauncey. 20. Bumps. You know what? That's part flop, and that's too much contact. Right. Part flop, too much contact. Okay, you know how to play that deep.
What a great politician he
Terrific.
is. Huh?
Well, you got to have some charm out there.
Absolutely.
It works.
Now, can Milwaukee stick with him here, Raph?
I like what they're doing on offense. I think the dilemma is the other end, turning the basketball over. I think they've got to lift Wallace, which they've done successfully, bend that is, and drive on him. I think they're okay that end. It's just valuing the basketball and making penetrating moves against the pressure. Don't stay in the backcourt.
And, of course, they need their leading scorer, Michael Redd, to shake it loose. He was 3 of 8 the first half here for Terry Porter, coaching in his first NBA playoff game. They shot as a team 44.7% in the first half. The Pistons shot 45.5%. Now, when you look at a very important statistic, the opponent's field goal percentage during the regular season, Detroit trailed only San Antonio. They allowed teams to shoot only 41% in the regular season. San Antonio held them to 40%. So right now, Milwaukee is doing better than that, despite Wallace times 2. And they have been very, very dominant down on the inside. 13 rebounds between the two. And you know, Raph, there's quite a North Carolina connection on this Detroit team. Larry Brown, the coach, was a player there himself.
Absolutely. He's a talented guard. And look who's looking over his shoulder. Dino. Larry, you got to push the ball.
Then in the mid-90s, let's take a look at this team. There was Dean Smith, one of the grand old coaches. Look, Rasheed Wallace out of Philadelphia was in the Tar Heels front line. Dave Hanners, now on Larry's staff here. And there was another player who also is on that staff, Pat Sullivan. And there they are, the Tar Heel connection over there.
And that connection, I think, has helped Rasheed be comfortable. His personality blossoming here, doing the right things. Look at that smile, Brent. Can he keep it till late June? That's the key.
Till the next whistle, I guess. We shall see. Phillips brings it up for the Pistons. High screen from Wallace, and Phillips nails it. So the lead back to 11. Let's see what they've got rolling for Red. Hamilton chasing it. Through the screens, down low, back out high.
Oh, offense
Oh, Skinner backing into Ben Wallace.
Got his arm around his shoulder. That really hurts. They bang you on the other end with the jumper, and you get an empty trip, and you can see the pain and anguish in Terry Porter's face. And this is a screen across, and the ability to get the big guy to the box. And this is where it starts, and then that left hand, I don't know. Maybe it's reminiscent of that blocked shot that was called a foul earlier on Ben.
Yeah, absolutely. Wallace high screen. He'll get it back. He's got great range for a big fella. Missed that time, but Prince with the long reach, and it's Phillips' turn. So the Bucks survive that particular trip, and down they come now. There's no question that Greg Anthony was all over it. That they do miss T.J. Ford running this offense.
And have another offensive foul on the pin down series. They exchanged along the baseline. But how about the sarcasm, Greg Anthony, towards Bill Lambier?
Amazing.
Did you detect that?
I certainly did. And I also detected Stephen A. Smith saying, "My Lakers." What kind of journalistic integrity is that? He prides himself.
Questioning
wow.
you?
Wow, my Lakers. I'm very
He must have picked them.
surprised.
I think that's what he meant.
Oh, yes.
And here's that matchup once again.
Red jumps out on Phillips, and so Rip drives to the glass. Skinner, who's played well, cross court, got Red on the move, and Rasheed blocks it. Phillips attacks other end.
What a hesitation blow by. That was beautiful.
See, Jones had Red on the wing that time, coming down on the front, and he just does not have enough, I guess, experience in a game. Red wanted the ball, had him on the wing, and he couldn't give it to him.
Gets back to your point, and another turnover with Ford not out there, and the open opportunity. Ooh, emphatically.
Tubby would have liked that stuff.
He sure would. Well, Tubby liked his game totally. He can jack him deep, and I love how he can maneuver around the rim, too. Pretty good post-up guy with that length. Another turn. Oh, my goodness. Self-destructing.
Get away from him.
Uh-oh.
The follow man is on the free throw line.
That's what you do. You pay homage to the big fella. He's running the floor. He does all the dirty work for this team, and just giving it up nice and early. This is the earlier play, and taking it strong to the rim. Tayshaun.
Well, we've got a timeout. Milwaukee scoreless so far in the second half. Beautiful pass and the left-handed slam. Pistons lead the Bucks 56-43 with Bill Raftery. I'm Brett Musburger. Well, the increased aspect ratio and clarity of ESPN HD will change the way you watch sports forever. If you haven't seen high definition, head down to your local Best Buy and check out a Philips HD TV. Once you've experienced ESPN HD, you'll never go back. Best high definition in the world, the Mandalay in Vegas. That big screen, they don't get any better than that, my friend.
I thought you went out there for the sun. I don't want to toot Larry Brown's horn to play on your high def, but this team causing turnovers, solid defensively, and their approach as a team, unselfish, the extra pass, reversing the basketball. But this guy is all about perfection. His brother Herbie behind him there.
Herbie once was a coach here.
Yeah.
Of Detroit.
I think, was he after Dick Vitale, I believe?
Yes, he was. One of many. It was hard to replace Dickie V here.
Absolutely.
Watch the shorts, ladies and gentlemen.
Oops.
Almost.
Welcome to the haberdasher.
Exactly.
Well, slowly you get back in it, and solid. Make sure you get an attempt. At least you can tip it. Get a follow.
Points off turnovers have just been critical. Milwaukee's got to protect that basketball.
Look at this double, and that's a great read. Phillips a little bit late.
Well, they're going after it, aren't they, Detroit? 4 turnovers already, a block by Prince. And the shot clock goes off. ball over.
That trip was as good as it gets defensively. Reading on their own, that trap in the corner, and then at the end, the long arm of the law. You usually see him around the rim on the other end. Prince.
And the shot clock violation makes it turnover number 5 here in less than 3 minutes of the third quarter.
And this is a team that only, as we said in the first half, averages 13 a game, the Bucks.
You know, you made an interesting point, a commercial, Raph. Don't save all your good stuff for commercial.
Yeah, I know. It sounds that way.
I think Eric Strickland would make a good point guard for that. Well, I think I'd take a crack at that.
Yeah, they're struggling a little bit. He might be the guy. With Brevin with the saddle with the foul problems. Brevin Knight.
Look at Big Ben with the left hand.
Now, tell me he doesn't hit the weight room. Look at that body. Unbelievable. A good use of the bounce. He started the game with a dribble drive.
Smith's been quiet. Rashid all over him. So Mason's been quiet. Prince is on him. Great defensive team. A little bit too tough that time. Well, this afternoon, the best out west take it to a whole new level. ABC will bring you first round action from the NBA playoffs. The Mavericks take on the Kings in game 1. Coverage starts with GMC hang time at 3 p.m. or right after we end this game. And again, a reminder, they are expecting that game to go into the 200s. That is going to be a fans kind of game. Those teams can put some points up.
A shootout.
2 highest scoring teams in the league, Raft, and the only 2 teams to average better than 100 points a game during the regular season. Dallas weighing in at 105 and Sacramento at 102.
It's all the videotapes problem. That's caused it. Really, guys preparing, they take the things you do well away from you.
Phillips improves his position. He thought he was going to get more pressure from behind, I think, as he went in the air. He was wide open.
And, Brent, that was a great offensive set, though. They flip-flopped the floor, pump faked, extra pass, all the things that have made them solid coming down the stretch.
Red. And Smith this time does contribute.
Nice job with the slide by as Prince stepped up.
Prince is going for the 3 ball. A little flat. At the top.
Now that little trap's the first time they've done that in the second half. And even though they got a good look, it works. So now you build on that if you're the Bucks. Get a solid run this trip and then get back in guard.
Smith high pick and roll on the drive and did a good job on Rashid. Rashid said he was pushed off with the forearm, and he might have been right that time.
Nice job by the Bucks. So they use Smith to bring Wallace, who's not as good away from the ball, or from the rim, I mean.
Whistle. Hamilton trying to drive the baseline that time, and the Bucks are on a 6-0 run here.
Now, Richard Hamilton, you're looking at him, he's not a physical specimen, but he is tough. And he's slight and really clever with his footwork, and delighted with the Huskies' triumph in Sendon. He came down, by the way.
The double triumph. Yeah. How about those gals?
That's true.
How about the rating they put up on ESPN? Did you see that? I think it was the highest rated basketball game ever over there on the college. Right? Yeah, it was an enormous number for the gals.
And Brent, I think 19 former players came down there to see Connecticut play, led by Richard. Ray Allen was down there as well. Great. So a real tribute to Jim Calhoun.
And the only thing that was disappointing to me is that Jim Calhoun missed by 1 vote to go into the Hall of Fame. Man, does he deserve to be in the Hall?
Winning that one ensures it, though, down the road.
Oh, I certainly hope so. And to our friend Dick Vitale, I certainly hope that he makes it as a contributor. He deserves it, too.
When he goes in, would you mail me the speech, though? When it finishes, Smith down.
The jump ball. Margin's 10 right now. 6:56 here in the third. Off a curl, Hamilton.
Oh, you can't give him that. You've got to hug his hip all the way around. Red was lost. And nobody hedged out to make it a tougher catch. And here they get the press.
Look at Rip on the steal, whips it inside, and Rasheed hands it off low to Ben.
That is just tremendous effort and led by Hamilton. Good passing inside. You can see the unselfish play by Rasheed Wallace. He's got to keep Larry a happy guy, giving it up to one another.
Go under, Larry wanted that time.
I see Wallace reading this on his own, and there's the rotation to steal. That's
Look
beautiful.
at this.
Huh.
An embarrassing moment.
I think in the backcourt after the dunk, there was a grab by Prince because he knew it was 5-on-4. But really, the hands, the unselfish play at the end. Look at the big guys. Good interior passing, good eye-hand coordination. Ben Wallace unable to finish. And then this read. This is just terrific as they get into the corner, do a solid job, step in, anticipate by Billups, and this is Rattler.
Tayshaun put it away. 11 trips for the Bucks this quarter and already 7 turnovers, and they're trying to avoid the 8th right now.
And there's that read by Wallace that time. He was
out of control. That's an offensive foul, and that is another turnover. Put it down right now. That's 8 turnovers in 12 trips for Coach Porter's team. And now I think we can see how this team let it get away from them the last week of the regular season. They just are not handling the basketball.
In fairness to Mason, he got banged initially and then did charge, and that's what he was lamenting. He's still woofing a little bit. I keep looking up at that scoreboard. It's 12. I mean, it's unbelievable how they've been able to stay in touch. Well, a little rainbow deep delivery by Sheed.
He can hit that, can he, Raph?
Oh, he sure can. And they brings the house down here. See Wallace here now. He makes you use a lot of clock in the backcourt, helps his teammates, and then recovers.
This is another turnover. Unbelievable. Billups. This one now is getting away from Milwaukee. Big time. And 22,000 are enjoying every turnover, which is converted into a point. It's all defense here.
Just covering angles, stepping up, the hands, the slap away. Ben Wallace involved in a lot of it. How about the giveaway to Billups here? Hamilton's usually the recipient, and Joy in Piston Town here does a great job on the defensive end.
You guys ready for this? Let's do it.
ESPN's presentation of the NBA playoffs, brought to you by Microsoft Office Live Meeting. Meet and collaborate live online. Renaissance Hotels and Resorts, non-conforming to your highest standards, uniquely Renaissance. And Jeep, trail-rated capability, only in a Jeep 4x4.
68-51, and it is becoming a turnover fest here. The Milwaukee Bucks simply cannot handle the basketball, and they have turned it over 9 times, and the Pistons have scored 10 points, Brad.
How about the first 5 possessions? You're feeding the frenzy here. The offensive foul, the ability to get back and block a shot, help from the weak side, trapping whenever necessary, the deflection of Ben Wallace extraordinary, and why not get it out of dodge? The 3 front line guys are long and lanky and discard with the best of them.
And Coach Porter making a move that we expected. Brevin Knight, despite the fact that he's playing with 4 personals, is back in here to see if he can run the backcourt. Might as well let him foul out now and see what he can do running the floor. TJ Ford, of course, is out for the remainder of the season for Milwaukee. So they have to make do as best they can, and that's a 2 from Mason.
Go for broke, you're right, putting Knight in there, and Van Horn, little dribble, defense collapsed, a nice reverse.
They even try some of the forwards bringing the ball up. I mean, anybody who can get it up there and get a play set. Now here we go. Offensive foul. Rasheed Wallace, and that's the way to handle it.
That's
just
right.
a little bit, throw the hand in disgust.
We
But
get that.
now he turns back around again.
That's where he gets in trouble.
Yeah, Kenny Mauer there, just let it go.
Well, that's what I usually get when I walk in the house, that wave of disdain. But the maturing process continues.
Van Horn with that high screen for Brevin. It would have been big for the Bucks. Phillips using the Wallace screen, yanked away by Smith. Good strong rebound that time. On the move, Red and one.
And your point about Brevin Knight, he didn't waste any time. One bounce, gave it up, give Red an opportunity to work some magic in the open floor.
Red needs the ball earlier than he's been getting it this game. He wants it. I've seen him break right down in front of us on the wing, and they just don't get it to him. Now, that time they did.
Here's the play. You give him plenty of chance to make his own decision. A little kiss at the end and a chance for three. But that's what Knight does with this team now. A little more hop in their step. Get it past the pressure. Blow by.
Now the Pistons will be looking to answer here. Phillips wide open three.
And that zone wide open as well. Rasheed was on the foul line. Nobody connected.
Screen from Smith. Kick to Van Horn. Can he answer the three? No. And Rasheed rebounds.
Got to get a little more air under that jump shot.
Knocked away by Red. Rip regains control. Left baseline clear out. Spin, and he is fouled by Brevin Knight, I believe. That's number 5 on him.
And he's just saying to Terry, relax, I want to play with the 5. Good read defensively by Knight. He thought he got it clean.
Brevin's trying to stay on the floor, and I'm not sure Terry's agreeing with him. He's going to try Strickland. Terry looked away. He saw Knight wave at him to leave him out there with 5, but Strickland's going to come into the game.
And Phillips rejoicing at that open look there. Well, they do have some deep threats. You mentioned Wallace, Rasheed, that is, and Hamilton, and Phillips, Prince as well. I mean, they can load it up, which really helps big people.
Raf, the one thing I've always noticed about the NBA playoffs, if you have any kind of a weakness, it will get so exploited and exposed, and they just pound away at it. Like T.J. Ford being out of the game. Larry Brown and the Pistons have just devoured the point guard position here today.
Well, you want to get it over quickly.
Move on to the next round.
Mismatches are something in the NBA all year long you look for. Tough dribble.
On the attack, Red, and offensive foul is called.
How about Wallace stepping under there? Oh, goodness, he does it all. If he doesn't block it, he gets in position to negate your trust.
That is the 10th Milwaukee Buck turnover this quarter. A nightmare. The frustration. And the Pistons dominated. 3:56. Detroit dominating right now, and behind the Wallace ×2 factor with this team, Rasheed and Ben.
Well, we talked about the influence of Ben Wallace defensively. Rasheed off the ball can certainly assist, and they do that for one another. But the amazing thing, we talked earlier about his physique. He's a Virginia Union kid, and he goes back to the campus. Brent, we were told this story yesterday. And when he goes down there, there's a little gym that he worked out called the Cage. So Virginia Union built a beautiful weight room, state-of-the-art. They wanted him to come to give it some exposure. Where do you think he works out? The little, the closet, the cage.
Went back to the closet?
Right, he went back with what formed that body he's going to stick with. But I love the wigs in the crowd when he's playing. It's just these people appreciate the nuts and bolts. I mean, he shapes up every day.
Well, you know, in 27 playoff games before this one, Rap, He's averaging 16.2 rebounds a game. Only 2 players in NBA history have a higher rebound per game average in the playoffs. Bill Russell, 24.9, and Wilt Chamberlain at 24.5. Now that's pretty good company.
It sure is. 2 Hall of Famers and Van Horn.
There's that defense again with Wallace.
Got to go up strong though when you get at the rim.
Shot clock's down to 8. Tap pass by Rashid. Ben didn't expect it. Saves it. 2 on the shot. The 3, no. That brings it down. Kick now to Mason.
Nice job by Red setting them up, though. Didn't do it any better. Is their baseline either pop out or exchange?
Now 3 on the shot. The shot clock going off. Yes, they're going off. Rasheed Wallace.
How about the presence? Very alert, great communication. They run the trap at them. They got a lot of wrinkles.
Their biggest lead of the game. Red on the free throw line. Well, let's go back and give you some numbers regarding T.J. Ford and his point guard play. In games that Ford did play, okay, they had a winning percentage of .527. When he left with the injury in late February, they had a losing percentage. They won only 44% of the time. So backing up the problems that Milwaukee faces right now at the point.
Now, he had that injury as well in college, so it's been a dilemma. I spoke to Larry Harris, the GM, the other day, and he was just, we're going to meet with the family and doctors and make a decision in the offseason. So he is a guy that's very important to their cause.
Jones will come in. Strickland stays on the floor. Mason will sit. And when you think of Detroit, this team allowed fewer than 100 points in 30 straight games at the end of the season for Larry Brown. They had a 36-game streak earlier without allowing 100. But you know, prior to this year, only 1 team had a single season streak of 30 or more games without allowing 100, and that was the 2001 Knicks, 33 straight. So the Pistons did them 1 streak better here this year, and it doesn't seem likely that Milwaukee will get even close to 100 here in this game. They're being held to 58 right now.
And Brent, the one that jumped out at me, they played the Nuggets. They held every player under doubles the first time since the shot clock's been in. And here they go again.
Feasting off the turnovers.
Wow, they got a charge, I believe. Yeah, before they wipe it out. Hamilton can't believe it. Very unselfish play. Well, when you get a lot of looks like Rip Hamilton does, oh my goodness, a little slide by and they get him for it. And Wallace can't believe it. Now, they run a Rip City celebration in Coatesville. He and his mom and family bring kids and adults for musical and art and crafts type of situation and just giving back to his old community.
Final minute coming up in the third quarter. And Wallace is stopped that time. Comes right back on Smith. Spins and jams.
You think you have, oh, look at the hop step as he runs back. He started the game with a bounce to the lane. Continues with success.
I think he is saying, don't be giving that trophy to somebody other than me. Van Horn commits the driving personal, and now it is 12 turnovers by the Bucks.
I often thought that Jason Kidd could win a game without scoring any points. This is the offense But I think Wallace could go a whole game, not score points, and help his team win. Just extraordinary reading, cutters, guys coming into the lane with the dribble. Back screen pop, and then they lock Williamson.
Not this time. Van Horn got a 2-on-1 and a 2-on-1, and he took off running. So that's only 13 turnovers this quarter. Wow.
Everything not going correctly for the Bucks, even when they get an opportunity like that. This is a heck of an atmosphere to come into as well. Welcome to the playoffs as a coach, right? For Terry Porter. Tough to coach when you kick it away.
And how important is game 1 of a playoff series? Well, in NBA history, teams that have won the first game, the best of 7, have gone on to win 79% of the time. Hamilton on the move, and it's blocked by Smith, but a foul is called.
I think underneath it may have been a little small change by Mason.
Yeah, you know, you get the feeling when you come into certain buildings that the fans really believe that a team can do something. Other buildings kind of quiet. They sit there and watch. From the beginning here today, you had the feeling that they think this team could be on to something special.
They were ready early on. Cooking out, bench alive, and they are deep. 11 deep. Milicic, we will probably see if this game continues like this. So we will get an opportunity
to see the human victory cigar, they call him here.
Well, there's some guys as an opponent you don't want to see in the game because usually you're behind.
Exactly. And he would be one of us. Don't you play that Milicic against me today.
Well, he has got some talent, by the way. We watched the workout yesterday, Brent. He's quick to the rim. He's got all the footsteps, and they are really patient with him as they get a final look here by Jones. What a solid quarter by the Pistons.
Yes, but for the Bucks, a different story. 15 points and 13 turnovers. Woo. But the Pistons well on their way to winning game 1 of this Eastern Conference NBA playoff series.
The NBA playoffs on ESPN continues in a moment. My life.
Alan Trammell's got them out of the gate. The Tigers. And right now, the Pistons mistake-free. And conversely, the Bucks just not comfortable with the basketball.
Bucks bring it down. A quarter to forget as they start the 4th. Goaltending.
Brent, Larry Brown was explaining to me yesterday, he expects his guys to guard a yard to each side. The guy, you have a yard to protect. So if you contain your guy 1 yard to the right, 1 yard to the left, you get a guy like Hamilton to help out. That was great defense on the ball. The containment, extraordinary.
James moves it to the corner, and Hunter is the 3 in the Kukoc's hands. Strickland, Van Horn, Kukoc, Jones, and Mason on the floor for Coach Porter. This is Mason backing down. Van Horn, it's a 2, rattled out.
Look at the speed.
Ooh, wow, we've got a real collision. Fischel goes down.
I believe an audio man over there, too, Sean Corbett. Hopefully he's okay. Larry checking. Mike Adenauer.
Mike is quick, isn't he?
Well, Mike,
he hasn't lost a step. Huh? What a good trainer.
28 years to half court. Well, those are his buddies. And this is just painful. What a great hustle play by Lindsay, taking everybody with him, too.
He cleared out the front row, didn't he? Oof. A 20-point lead by the Pistons. At 140 points scored. We still have not had a 200-point game in the playoffs. James up firing. Kukoc has it. We did have a couple in the 90s yesterday. 192 Pacers and Celtics. That was the highest total. Nets and Knicks put up 190.
That's tough play. Strickland gave it to Van Horn, who was running out of the lane. Couldn't turn and correct himself. Ended up turning it over.
Well, ESPN2's presentation of the Stanley Cup playoffs continues tonight at 7. Ottawa hosts Toronto. That's game 6. What a series that's become. Maple Leafs lead at 3-2. They can close it out with a victory tonight. Toronto, Ottawa, 7 on ESPN2. Even Corliss putting it down. Tap back, no. Strickland eyes the floor. Tap ahead to Mason. That was good defense by James.
Sure was.
And Van Horn and one.
And Williamson furious that they don't want to give up a bucket. They're just so intense. Mason thinks he's got an easy basket here. You mentioned the ability, James, that time, and Corliss upset at himself as he gives this foul. And wow, speaking of the Tigers, that was a pretty good fastball.
Yes, sir. Yeah, this game has Darko Milicic written all over it.
I think we will see him. Kukoc's really fighting Wallace, but he'll be giving up inside offensive rebounding if he's not careful.
And Strickland active. Bounce pass. Jones lays it in.
Nice decision by Strickland. Nice run out. Larry Brown doesn't like the way this is turned quickly. But 15 in control.
Still, it's a 7-0 run. It's Milwaukee.
That's the bright side if you're with
a
the
lot
Bucks.
of folks would like to see this get inside 10. See if another underdog can howl on Sunday.
ESPN's presentation of the NBA playoffs, brought to you by The Day After Tomorrow, in theaters May 28th. The new Chevrolets, 10 new cars and trucks in 20 months, an American revolution. And Miller, vote Miller for president of Beers. Good call.
Let's admit, the playoffs have been kind of ho-hum so far, but fireworks are on the way as the Mavs and Kings get ready to play. That one tips off at 3:30 Eastern over on ABC.
And you can see the Western Conference McDonald's NBA brackets. San Antonio and the Lakers out with victories. The Lakers just surviving. Remember the history of Sacramento, Dallas a year ago. The Mavericks knocked the Kings out of the playoffs. So that feud continues here today. Both teams again averaging over 100 points a game in the regular season.
Right now, the Bucks making a nice run. They played good defense. I think emotionally now, a good shot for them because the Pistons have to reach down and get back into this thing. Even though they're in control, emotionally sometimes you feel you've got control and don't play as hard.
Can't believe that Larry wanted that 3-shot after that timeout. But on the move, won't stay down for Strickland, and Hunter yanks it away with authority.
And Williamson loading up. Kukoc's doing a pretty good. Now he's got him.
Knocked away. Kukoc fouled him. Well, beginning Monday, tune into the NBA TV playoff show, Destination Finals, every weeknight on NBA TV. Might catch you on NBA TV.
On
You're
occasion.
a frequent contributor.
Yeah, I like to go over and see what's going on. Sure. All the news that's worth regurgitating. I'm watching Williamson load up. Van Horn's got him now. His ability to lock a guy is exceptional. Great strength. Look at the legs.
Powerful legs.
Yeah.
Okay. And Rashid.
Well, that'll get the emotion back. 12-foot post up. And the ability to get by a guy, too. You are really in a hole.
Kukoc on the drive. Rashid got away with it that time. Prince moves the ball. They get it back inside, and Prince couldn't knock it down, but follows.
Well, that's an emphatic finish. He's a little frustrated at the layup, but what an unselfish play both ways. To the corner and then back to Prince.
Who would you vote as the MVP of this game for Detroit, Rev?
Ben Wallace. Just his whole personality, his fingerprints on the game. How about you?
Yeah, I agree with that. But it's hard to look over Rashid, who's had some big moments.
That's true,
That's why I asked the question. And Mason on the drive.
We'll give it to Wallace.
Times two.
Cover both.
That's right. We leave the first name off the trophy.
Here he goes again. He's got Van Horn. He just moves the derriere, positions a guy.
There's the paint. Kukoc comes off him. The three. Long rebound for Corliss. Lindsay searches for daylight. Gets it to Corliss, and Van Horn fouls it.
Williamson running the floor. I mean, he is all over. He has played solid, but name anybody they played well. This is a give back, a Prince of a move. Frustrated by the miss, able to finish it. Of course, Ben rejoicing. Hallelujah. And they have a lot to rejoice about today.
Hey, remember the Milwaukee Bucks had averaged better than 90 points a game in their 4 earlier meetings with Detroit. Here they are with 7:17 to go, and they've scored 67. So the emergence of Rasheed Wallace, who's leaving right now, the biggest reason. But Coach Brown also likes to point out that James came along with Lindsey Hunter, and he said both of them helped their perimeter defense tremendously. It wasn't all Rasheed Wallace, according to Larry.
Well, getting back to that thought of containing the dribble, the two guys you mentioned, Hunter and James, come in and even pick it up more, pick it up a notch, really get after guys, rag them with the bounce.
A very impressive first game performance by Detroit. Mason.
Ooh, almost a turnover, but one of the few mistakes that Ben would have made.
Milking the clock. We get it inside of 10 seconds. To the corner, and Hamilton. Now 4 on the shot, and here comes Prince stepping outside. The 3.
A little reverse action. Hamilton goes to the left corner. They screen, get Prince to the other corner, and they just unselfish flip-flopping to the basketball, using both sides.
13 points and 8 rebounds for Prince. Kukoc answers with his 3 ball. Former teammate of Michael Jordan. The last time the Bulls were running.
Got some jewelry.
Yes, he does.
3, I think. Nice pass. Well, that's what you like in a point guard. Now, Larry Brown's got to feel pretty good as Chauncey gets in, draws in, finds the big fella.
There's another turnover. Hamilton on the move. Tap back, no. And the putback this time by Corliss is a good one.
He has been involved because he's run the floor. Very active. Nice ball fake.
Whew. Mason attacks.
Bring it. Oh, my goodness. Send it in. Against a premier negator.
Last 5-minute time. Phillips was fouled. Let's take another look at this slam coming down the baseline here, Bill.
You can see the elevation you have to have, and boy, was that up big. Over the big fella.
But they needed more of that. Remaining, and let's take a look at our Chevrolet game track.
Well, the big fella has been looming around the rim on the defensive end, and now he shows you the foot speed and the aggressive nature as he gets to the rim, and giving to one another has been the hallmark today. And Wallace Rashid, that is, able to finish, but this is the major dilemma. Brent, harping on it, but it's a major issue when you start looking at tape. Leading to easy baskets where they've been turning the ball over 24 times, averaging 13. That's a major dilemma for them.
So if you were Coach Porter, what would you say to Milwaukee at practice tomorrow?
I would just say, fellas, value the ball. Tweak it a little bit. I think they got to push the ball up the floor more, even if they're not fast breaking. And just make sure the right guys are making the right decisions and work on those traps that the Pistons run at you. I think they've run some good offense, just a matter of either not making a shot or giving it up in a vulnerable part of the floor, which leads to easy goals.
You go back to a year ago, Raft, and we were here, and the Pistons lost the advantage in Game 1. Orlando beat them, and you might recall that Orlando went out to a 3-1 lead and couldn't close the series out.
Unbelievable. I do recall very well. Rick Carlisle, of course, was here. Different team, though. I think this is a
tougher team to me.
The Rashid injection's been extraordinary.
There's Mason. He's carried the offense, and up off the top, it'll go to Detroit.
It's almost like a keep the faith message, I think, if you're the Bucs staff. Well, we had a tough week. In some ways, that impacts. You can't shake it. He's been around. I mean, he's a player. He relates. He understands. Got a good staff. They've worked hard to get here. Nice play.
Wallace wide open.
Oh, the left.
And then he makes the circus shot out of it.
He's got an E in horse, and then he's lamenting the fact he didn't get the call.
At 170 scored here in this game. 4.5 minutes to go. Mason attacks, blocked. Phillips behind the back. The follow. Big Ben. Oh, baby.
You know, Phillips behind the back fancy play gave Ben an opportunity to get down the floor and what a rearrangement.
Strickland up firing.
It's all about dignity right now, I think, for the Bucs. Just keep playing.
Chauncey milking the clock. The three from Wallace.
Oh, the pick and pop. Well designed. And Hamilton took it baseline, drew two, and kicked it to Sheed.
3 trays from Rasheed Wallace in this opener against Milwaukee. And that put them at the 1-7-7 total right now.
You always get the feeling that Rasheed is at peace as a player. You get that feeling?
Yes.
And he doesn't have to do a lot of things, just play his game. Guys like Hamilton and this fella just keeping after it. Hey, the game's not over. He's not going to stop.
No basket. Now watch Big Ben on the follow. Rasheed's turn. In Detroit, it is simply known as Wallace times 2. More on ESPN HD tonight. The Oakland A's and the Anaheim Angels at 8 Eastern, 2 powers out west. And for a full schedule, log on to ESPN.com and search HD. And in high definition, when's the last time you had a chance to see Darko Milicic, the rookie, in HD? There it is, ladies and gentlemen, what he has become known as here, the human victory cigar, because it means that the Pistons are headed for another W. One of the youngest players in the
NBA. In fact, at the moment, he is the youngest.
And Pay, of course, was with the Knicks, went to Phoenix in that trade to get Steph. LeBron James. That's a great story about this young guy. You know, his mom won't fly, so they have to send her tapes over. We got a technical here.
The technicals on Mason, we are told, and reminders of great billiard shooting coming up next year on ESPN.
So that tee on Mason. Prince makes the free throw.
Finishing the Milicic thing, you know, the mom hasn't seen him play. They send tapes. The dad was a policeman, had been in the war 15 years. When he got the contract, he said, "That's it, Dad. You're not working anymore." I like kids like that.
Indeed.
He works hard. I was very impressed. I said to Larry after yesterday's practice, the people know how hard you guys are working with this guy. I said, well, you know, that's our job, kind of. But they just drill him every day, and I just like his quickness, his footwork, his feel for the game. And of course, the fans all want him to score.
I, of course, tried to give Larry Brown the way out in talking with him as Okur hits the field goal. I said, you know, there's a lot of talk about Carmelo Anthony, but if you'd have had him, you know, Prince would not have matured for you. And Larry looked at me, got a big grin on his face. He said, I would have enjoyed that problem, though.
He is not afraid. Goes down to Philly. Trevor Coleman to get a open jump shot here by Strickland. And Allen Iverson, too. And I think he welcomes guys as long as they want to play. He embraces them, and I think Rasheed fits in for that reason.
We've had 3 Pistons with doubles in this game. Both of the Wallaces and Prince, 14 points and 10 rebounds. Milicic has it stripped.
And the crowd
a
thinks
work in progress.
The crowd can't believe Strickland would do that to their main guy.
Van Horn missing the 3.
Out of bounds. Prince led him too far.
Well, the human victory cigar on the floor, and of course, there was only one original.
Light it one time for Red. Because I interviewed him once years ago, Brent, and asked him, what is it about the Celtics in those days? He said, winning is hard. Because everybody loves you at home, even if you lose. Think about it. And I'm a testimony to that with all the losses I incurred. What a dynasty. What a nice play by Knight. The cushion and the quickness.
Darko, as you watch him, does not look instinctive. If I had to give one, you know, I'm just standing there watching him jump and defense, and you know how you just see basketball and they react. They know what to do at a given moment, and he's definitely a work in progress.
Now, yesterday he was just the opposite.
Interesting.
And I think it's just sitting there all game. He's so young. You're not. Right. You've been a factor when you've played. It's just you're right. It is a project, no question about it. But I think it's a real. The bottom line is very promising.
Well, you can't coach 7 feet, right?
No, you can't coach size.
The old line, what was it? Who used that first? Abe Lemons? I can't remember.
I think well, Lou Conosecchi used to use it too. But Lou used to steal everybody's lines.
Absolutely, and sweaters. And Darko's mother, of course, was a professional basketball player.
Well, she's got to be getting a kick out of these moments. So everybody, when she does get the tape, has embraced him too. And the fans, he's a favorite here.
Yeah, he has a wonderful reputation with the folks who work around the club.
I think the big thing for him was getting his license. That was a major issue. Let's see what he's got here. And look at Brevin. Oh my goodness, Brevin got the foul. Wow.
And for reaching in on him.
I think Danny Crawford's got a little showmanship in him here. Look at Brevin right there. He ends up getting the foul. That's been a lot of tough calls. And you know, Mason with that tee before, I like that. I mean, he was disgusted, obviously had some calls, but at the game, I mean, you've got to have feeling out there, and to me, that shows interest.
Daniel Santiago checks in, so he'll take a crack at Darko, who's on the free throw line. We can take a look at his form on the line.
Pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah, the big left-hander was smooth with that shot.
Just doesn't get the minutes, and they are deep. What a loaded bench here. Tough for him to get the time to push those numbers up.
The fans here are hoping to see a lot of Darko in the games ahead in this series. And the way things unfolded today, who's not to say that they won't, as Marcus Haislip out of Tennessee hit that shot for the Bucks.
They're trying to get Mills out. Okay.
It's Santiago all over him.
It'll be interesting to see what happens at the end of the year with Kerr. And you alluded to it during the course of the game. He's a talented guy. He will have some options, some big decisions for Joe Dumars.
Well, 24 turnovers here today by Milwaukee. Can't survive in the NBA playoffs. And of course, over on ABC coming up next, the Mavericks and the Kings. And the final 10 seconds unfolding. They'll bring down the curtain. The Detroit Pistons win game 1 of their Eastern Conference playoff series against Milwaukee. 108-82 is the final. They put 190 points up. The Bucks, with 25 turnovers, shot themselves in the foot all game long. And Wallace ×2 took charge. Ben and Rasheed, double-doubles, both of them. And the Pistons are up 1-0. So long, everybody.